there are no rules. They're all made up. And like I use that in many ways in my life where I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something some way. I'm supposed to be here in my life, or I'm supposed to be in this type of relationship. And the reality is all the rules are completely made up and you get to make up your own. Hi guys, and welcome back to the 𝐓𝐨𝐻𝐸 podcast. I'm Kelsey.
Hi guys, I'm Rachel. Welcome back. We are so excited to have you another week. And if we don't implode, no one's past the computer. So far, so good.
Yeah, it's going great.
I know you're mad. So here's like a life tip that I have done. I feel like, and sometimes it doesn't always work, but sometimes when you have a frustrating situation with two people, it's like one person needs to be allowed to be the one that's mad, and the other person needs to pick up the slack and just be like, it's okay, we're doing great, it's fine, everybody's good, I love you, I love life, I love everything. And so
microphones.
I love microphones, I love technology and everything. So I think that'll be me.
Great
today.
job.
And I will let you just sit in your anger and frustration and just let you live there for a bit, because I can see that's what you need. And you know what? I'm here for what you need.
You got to be in your feels. It's all
I will be what you need me to be.
Self.
Sometimes that's what is being a friend, the best kind of friend, is just being what the other person needs you to be at that time. And I can see what you need, and I'm here for it.
You are. I appreciate you.
So I'm going to be extra smiley.
So
you better watch out, because people are not going to recognize me. They're going to be like, who is that guest this week that you had on?
She's so happy.
So smiley and happy. This week we wanted to continue. We had so many questions, and we kind of, you know how you feel like a little guilty if you ask like, oh, ask us anonymous questions, and then you like don't get to all of them, and then you're like, oh man, that person's gonna like have their feelings hurt that I didn't answer their specific one. So we definitely cannot answer them all. It would be a 9-episode series. But we did have a couple more that we wanted to answer on today's podcast of your questions that you asked anonymously. And I really enjoyed the last episode, so I don't even mind it. You know what I'm saying?
I know that everyone had some really great questions, and I think that they provoked a lot of thoughtful discussion. So it did take a little bit longer than we thought it was going to. So we do have we're trying to mix in some like kind of rapid fire ones and ones that require a little bit more explanation, but we do have a good mix of both.
When I was thinking back on like, you know, some of the more difficult ones that we were asked last week, I was thinking back on it, and I was, you know, just, I don't know, doing my thing where I sit there in my confessional and talk about things that could have done better. And I just want to say that on the thin privilege and on some of even these questions today, I feel sometimes like I'm very nervous, right? To like, just like everybody, to say the wrong thing or to have something come out that isn't the way that I wanted it to come out, or have it misrepresented, or have it taken out of context, or whatever. Like, there's just, when you start freaking opening your mouth, well, for
with
me,
the microphone in front of it,
my God, who knows even what's going to come out. And I don't feel, when I was sitting in my confessional, I will admit, I don't feel particularly happy with my answer on that, but I'm going to let it lie. And I'm also going to say that, like, I just want to put forth the fact that I'm just continuously learning. And if you're not continuously learning, you are just not improving. So I have, you know, set my sights on getting better and learning more and being a more informed person. But at the same time, I can also say that I don't feel like I'm super thrilled. I really loved your answer.
You know what? I feel the opposite. I really feel the opposite. I felt like so does everyone do this, or is this just our personalities? Because like I just ruminate on every discussion I've had with people, especially if I've said things on the podcast. I kind of go over it later and just sit through and I'm like, oh, that wasn't the right thing to say. That wasn't the right way that maybe I meant it. I don't know if that came out right. And I just like dissect the whole thing. And I think a lot of people do this, where they leave discussions that they have and they say like, oh, that wasn't it. But actually during my reflection period in my confessional, which isn't as much of a confessional, it's more like I'm cleaning and like lighting candles and I'm like, I'm so stupid for everything I say.
Everything I've ever said was wrong.
But I was thinking that I was really glad. I was really thankful for how you shared your thoughts on thin privilege with starting, kind of how you started with, I was taken aback by this question at first, and I had this initial response, and I thought that was so valuable and helpful for a lot of people to hear, that it's definitely okay to feel taken aback by something when you hear it presented in a way of like, this is you, this is something that you have benefited from. And you didn't intentionally benefit from it, but you have benefited from it. And you need to look at the ways in which you have benefited from it and how other people are not benefiting from those same systems. And that's really a difficult thing to do. But I was like, I'm so glad she said, that made me feel defensive, or, it made me feel this type of way at first, because I think a lot of people will relate to that feeling.
I guess maybe that was the problem I had with it, was
your problem is what I loved.
Well, I mean, I was just obsessed with how you put it, and it was just so much more succinct, and it was so much less, about you. And I just, on that, my knee-jerk reaction to a lot of things is to be defensive because I'm an 8. Mm-hmm. So that is a thing that comes really easily to me. And I just want to say that, like, that's not my be-all, end-all answer on that. Okay, guys? I'm going to revisit this at different points. I'm going to continue to learn on it. And I just want to get better and better. But I also think, like, hey, sometimes it's not the picture perfect answer in something that, you would, the definition of something that you would want to read on it. But you know what? There's also value in like an imperfect answer, and just where someone's at right now is in their learning, and like, there's value in that too. So hopefully, if you didn't listen to last week, I think it was a thought-provoking question, and there's so many more thought-provoking questions that people asked for this week. So I'm excited to get into them. I'll be the question asker this week because you did it.
Can I stop on one part of that?
Oh, sure.
Is that like a lot of people don't know, when you say I'm an 8, she's talking about an Enneagram 8. And we also did an episode on that, which is like just different personality types and learning about your personality type and, the different aspects of it. Because you're not one thing, you're divergent. But knowing what your knee-jerk reactions to things, knowing what yours is such an important part of just like noticing and being better. Because I know that something that happens to me is when I feel hurt, I'm angry. And it's a really confusing thing for people around me, because like I don't appear to be sad or hurt. I appear to be angry, and I'm angry that you hurt me. That's kind of like how it comes out. Yeah. And I try to, when I feel that I'm angry about something and I start to get my back up and I'm like, I'm so mad. And I like notice that feeling right away. And I say like, okay, so you're feeling angry right now. What does that actually mean that you're feeling? And try to work through that. So I just wanted to like pause on that for a minute, because I think it's so important for people to recognize, what's your knee-jerk reaction? What does it actually mean? And what would you like it to look like? Because there's so many things out there that say like, oh, your knee-jerk reaction is really telling for who you are. No, that is your knee-jerk reaction without any learning and growing. So we have that reaction, and then we can sit with it and figure out how do we really want to respond. And that's all part of the growth process.
Yeah, I love the Enneagram for that. It doesn't box you in. It helps you to learn about yourself so that you can notice things that you might want to continue to improve on. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard when people view your sadness or your hurt as anger, because that is, invoking feelings in them that are not necessarily what you hoped for. So yeah, it's tough out there. I'll tell you what, it's tough out there, but we're here and we're struggling through it with you. And I got to know, Kelsea.
Yeah.
People got to know. What's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is wasting time. People wasting my time doing something that I feel like is wasting my time. Any waste of time is my biggest pet peeve for sure.
Let's not go into the fact that we wasted about an hour prior to this on technology problems with sound checks. I think this is a little fresh for you. Computers, internet, and it's
well, I just think there are very few like things that like people do that get me like really get me like feeling some type of like pet peeve way. Like it's not loud chewing, like I'll deal with that all day. It's not even like, leaving clothes and shoes. Like it's not those things. It's
but you did bring them up though.
It's the time. The biggest, those are on the list. I like loud chewing.
How long is this list gonna be?
What's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is, I never knew this about myself, but like this is one of those things where like this is why I love the internet, because like people start bringing something up and more people go like, yeah, oh wow, I that's me too, and then all of a sudden it's a thing that you never knew about but like makes so much sense in your brain. I have like severe like auditory sensitivities, and I always thought that it was just me being a bitch, but like I can't have a lot of noises from different sources all at once. Like it drives me up a wall. Like some people will not notice that there's like a radio playing with one song and then you can also hear another radio playing with a different song. Like that is, there's no way. When my son was born, like the crying, I felt like so bad because it invoked so much anxiety in me, and I was like, why can't I just be normal, like, and just hear a kid cry and like just feel okay about that? But I since heard that there's like these specific earplugs that like filter out certain levels of noise or like certain pitches that people with auditory sensitivities have, and like it's like game changing for these people. I didn't even know this was a thing. I thought I was just like hearing things that other people didn't hear, but it's a thing. And it's a lot of noises for me.
Wow, what a helpful one, because I think when you go like, I thought I was just being a bitch, like until you
I'm not ruling that out. Okay. No, I'm not ruling. I am probably just being a bitch. Okay. Let's just be honest with it.
Well, there are times where you think that like for me, I go into a very self-blaming thing when I've had those things come up, and I'll say like, you just don't have as much resilience to everyone else to be able to handle the constant ripping of orders that happens at Lindsay's desk. Like, how is no one noticing this? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, everyone else is hearing the same thing you are and no one's reacting. What's wrong with you? But I love that you brought that up, because like some people have sensory things that they're hearing it differently. You're not just having less resilience. You're not just a bitch. And like when you put it out there on a podcast with thousands of people listen to, a lot of people are going to go like, oh man, they have these ear things that I can get, because I heard that a lot with mothers too, because I talked to my friend Sonia about it, because she had a similar thing with crying. And she was like, I thought I was just a bad mom, that I couldn't even hear, like, stand the sound of my kids cry. Like, I had to get out of the house. And she's like, what was wrong with me? But like, no, it's a real thing. And it
It's a
doesn't mean you're a
real
bad
thing.
mom.
Yeah. And like,
The list of things that make you a bad mom, take that one off of it, because it's ever growing.
it would be like Santa's Christmas list. It would just keep rolling out all the reasons why I'm self-loathing about how I'm a horrible mom. But it's a really interesting thing too, is like, I've heard a lot of people, when I went back to the gym, I was, trying to bring my son for sessions and like trying to do things alongside of him. And, so many people had put out these things like, just fitness with your kids, just have them there and do your workout. And it's a great thing for them to absorb and stuff. And I couldn't get used to the fact that he continuously talked during, and the music was going and he was talking. And I remember mom just being like, why can't you just zero it out? Like it was like ruining my workouts, and I couldn't not hear it. And it was so hard. And then I realized this and I was like, oh yeah, I just need to not bring him, because it was like,
it's not a
so
pleasurable
stressful.
experience.
No, it was so stressful
for anyone.
It was so stressful for me.
It's the opposite of what it's doing. So you could hear all these things on the internet. You could hear all these like tips from other moms, but if it doesn't work for you in your life and it's become a non-stress reliever, like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Not that it doesn't work for everyone. It does work for you. And that's okay.
That's okay. Like, I had to leave him home and get some childcare because like the auditory. Yeah. So that's my long answer to my biggest pet peeve is auditory overstimulation.
We were like, the first ones are going to be super quick. Like, my biggest pet peeve. Okay. Next one.
Next one is, what is the best, rapid fire. What is the best advice you've ever received?
You want to go first?
Okay. The best advice I've ever received, I think, is the fact that everyone is hearing, doing, seeing everything with their own personal bias that is extremely selfish. And understanding that about people has freed me to give them so much more leeway in my interactions with them, and has also freed me to not be so concerned about what other people are thinking all the time, because most likely they're thinking about themselves.
I love that answer.
Thank you.
I love that answer so much, because I think I talk about this with one of my friends a lot, because I think when we go through our lives, we have lots of interactions with different humans, and a lot of them are going to hurt us in some type of way. We have relationships that end poorly. People don't act the way that you would hope them to in any like friendship relationship. And we tend to blame them a lot as if they hurt us and they did this to us. And it becomes this like continuously victim mindset. And I'm sorry if that comes out the way that you don't want it to hear, but I'm going to say this how it is, how I feel about it. Once you think about it in the way that they didn't go out with the intention to hurt me, they went about it with their own intentions of the things that they wanted in that moment, to get what they wanted, to create a life that they wanted, to take advantage of the things that they wanted. They're only acting within their own self-interest. And the caveat to that is, so should you.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one to swallow.
Personality types, you know.
Mm-hmm. But the highlight to that is, if we are, and that's not being thoughtful to other people, because you should be thoughtful to other people, and of course I believe that. But if we are acting in a way that we are holding ourselves and we are responsible for our own selves, our own happiness, and our own life, we meet every relationship with holding that responsibility and hope that the other person does the same. Now we're holding each other up, we're holding ourselves up, and we're contributing to a relationship instead of holding one way or the other, and then being resentful that you're holding the other person and then they don't hold you back.
No, it's true. And, I think that it's a tough one, because it also is, it sometimes feels a little hopeless when you think like, damn, nobody's looking out for me. Everybody's looking out for themselves. Like, how can I, truly rely on people? But I think that, I don't know, for me anyways, the most important advice that I've ever received is that I'm really responsible for myself. I'm really responsible for my own happiness. I'm responsible for my own success. I'm responsible for my own feelings. And everybody else is responsible for theirs. And that's the only thing that I really can ask of people.
Yeah.
And that's freed me to, I think, have better reactions to people's sometimes disappointing behavior.
Yep.
And also, like I said, like, it's awesome and it's freeing to walk around with the knowledge that everybody isn't looking at me. They're just looking at themselves.
Yeah. I love that. So my answer to this one is I felt a lot of pressure when this one was asked. And I was like, all right, I just have to answer this several times so that I can in some way give the best advice that I could pass on. So that's a heavy question, and I don't want to be married to it because I want this like profound answer to the best advice I ever received, and it would be like, oh my God, that's the best advice. But I don't have it right now, so I'm just going to give you my best with there are no rules. They're all made up. And like I use that in many ways in my life where I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something some way. I'm supposed to be here in my life, or I'm supposed to be in this type of relationship. And the reality is all the rules are completely made up and you get to make up your own.
I love that.
Yeah,
I think that is profound, and I think that is, I love that, and I'm sad that you don't think that is, so earth shattering and stuff, because you can really apply that to anything and be like, wow, it's all made up and the points don't matter. We're just on a rock floating through space. Like, do it. Just do it. Like, it translates to everything in your life that could be enhanced by just saying, like, I make my own rules. Like, what a
parenting and work, and, in your relationships and fitness, like all the shit, like someone made it up at one point. Like, why can't you make up your own? Yeah, like they have nothing to do with you. The whole married by your 30 has nothing to do with me.
I mean, not to make it personal or anything, but
has nothing to do with me.
So the next question that we got was, are your parents married?
Our parents are not married. Rachel and I are sisters.
Just one more time with that.
One more time. Every time there's new ears. Our parents are not married. Our parents are remarried to different people, and they remain friends. And that's why you see us all, like my dad's in my videos all the time. My mom is as well. We have a trip coming up with my mom and my sisters, but they are not married.
They're not married. And funny thing about my mom is she only marries Joes.
I made a joke. She texted me on Saturday and she's like, you got to go to Trader Joe's. I don't know if they have this all over. Is that just in our area?
No. Okay, they're everywhere. Joe's. Yeah.
Okay, so you got to go to Trader Joe's. And I had been sick, so I was trying to just – sometimes when I'm not feeling well, I feel like other people are texting me because they feel bad for me. So I try and hit them with jokes to make them feel better. It's a weird thing. Like, I'm not feeling well, so I should make you feel better about that.
Well, you do that with mom because, you know how worried mom gets.
You're so right. Like, I can feel her worry through the phone, so I try to, like, reassure her. So anyway, she's like, I'm at Trader Joe's, and I was like, why'd you go to, or what did I say? It was such a dad joke. You went to Trader because you've had all the Joes. I'm so lame.
Oh, man. My mom just married Joes. My mom was married to my dad, who is a Joe, and then remarried to a new Joe. And that is all the Joes. And a funny thing is my husband
is not named Joe.
Okay, my husband is Mark. His mom, he's a Mark Jr., so his dad is Mark. His mom and his dad were Mark and Fran, got divorced, and his mom married a new Mark. So we have this tradition going throughout all the families. We only just marry. We don't want to get confused.
You don't want to say the wrong name.
Easily confused. So we just go for, are there any more Joes here? Any more marks that I
So your
can
second husband will be a mark too.
I mean, if I'm carrying
Or
on
you
the
could just
tradition,
keep the same one.
I mean, I might keep him. He's decent.
You could keep the same one. Mom always said you got to get a new one every 10 years, but that would mean this one's expired.
Yes, he is currently expired. He's past his expiration. So, that's why he's, okay, I'm not going to, he edits the podcast. I can't. Will you be giving Harley a sibling? Four-legged variety counts.
I don't have any current plans to give Harley a sibling. I think some of the underlying questions are like, are you ever going to have kids, Kelsey? I do plan to have a child in the future if I am lucky enough to be a mom. I would love to. I don't have any plans to give her another furry friend. She doesn't really like dogs, so like she really just likes me and and like other humans, but she's an older gal, really likes all the attention to herself, so I don't have any plans to do that. I also worry about the fact that like I will likely outlive Harley, and that's a terrifying idea for me. I realize in my older age that like I love things really hard, and I don't like that about myself. I wish I could like love things 50%.
I know. It's just, every time, we come to this thing about dogs and the fact that, you get them knowing that you will outlive them and that you will have to say goodbye is just the same, logic that we use with everything, which is, it is better to have loved and lost, because that amount of joy that you got from said furry animal, whether it's a dog or a cat, or even like people have all different kinds of pets that they just absolutely adore, and likely you will outlive them all, but it's just that time that you got to spend together is so invaluable, and I think that when you look back on it, you will say was totally worth the love and loss, rather than do without it, because what would Kelsey be without Harley?
I don't know. I hope I never know.
She's such a part of who you are. So, you just have to love them up while they're here. And yes, I would highly recommend not 2 dogs if you plan on not 2 dogs. One dog. One dog.
Right now, yeah.
She's so high maintenance. My God, I've never met a dog that was like that. I mean, my Lord, she's basically thinks she's a person. So
she does. She gets a good life, though. You know what I mean? Like she goes around. She does a lot of things. She went surfing in the waves. She gets full attention for sure.
She's living it up.
Yeah.
I think this one is definitely another one just for you, but because I think my answer would be very obvious. Kelsey, do you ever think you're going to try Ninja Warrior?
I have not ruled out Ninja Warrior. For
context, I just want to give a little context on why people might be asking this. If you haven't seen, we did team up with Jessie Graff, who is an American Ninja Warrior champion, is very famous in the sport, probably one of the driving forces in making this sport popular for women, because she has really changed the game on, bringing it to the forefront of you just see her everywhere doing these amazing things and these feats of strength and athleticism. And we teamed up with Jessie, CVG, and Jessie did a collection together. And so we've spent a lot of time with Jessie, and even in a ninja gym, getting to watch her work and do her amazing, stuff. And Kelsey also was in, that photo shoot and got to watch Jessie do a lot of her stuff. And I think that people were like, whoa, imagine Kelsey and Jessie.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't just watch Jessie do her stuff. I did some stuff. So I had never really been in a ninja gym before, where like I had been in a free running gym, which is a little bit similar
with like parkour.
Yeah. Okay. Free running is very similar to parkour. So it's a little bit, it's definitely like using obstacles and your like advantage and like, finding some tricks around them. So it was like the closest thing I could equate to some of the ninja experiences. But there's a ton of upper body strength. And as soon as I started trying some things, I was really pleasantly surprised at some of the obstacles I could do and had never done before. Like I was swinging from one of the things and you had to just like swing off and catch yourself on another moving bar. And like the coach that we had there was like, I don't know, this is like a kind of a high skilled thing. And I was like, well, I'll try it, because the biggest part of that is just being able to let go. A lot of people don't want to go flying through the air. So he was like, well, maybe you could work up to it. But I let go on my first try, because like I'm like, there's mats under me, guys. Like I'll fly right through. I'm kind of fearless in that sense, because like I have a good confidence in my body that I'll catch myself. And then I was like, oh, I caught the other bar and could do it. And I was like, oh, I could probably get into some of these things.
I love that you just highlighted the fact that fitness is so transferable, and why we fitness is to be so confident in our body that we can just fly and let go and do the thing, because that is really the freedom that fitness provides. That is why it's so much more than six-pack abs and
oh God, yeah,
booty,
it's so much more,
and a snatched waist. But like, I love that you brought that up, and I would love to see that. I mean,
what fun! It's fun. It's like a giant jungle gym for adults. I don't know that part of for me. I'm like, we just play on these things. She's like, yeah, we just play, and I was like, I totally love that idea. Can we put some music on?
I did sign my son up for ninja classes, and which he's loving. And I definitely, think that there's so much to be said about the athleticism and the like transferable skills that you get from that kind of body awareness and control. So, I mean, such a great sport. I think that, if you have any inkling to try it, definitely
so cool.
Do it. Mm-hmm. Another one just for you. I think people know my answer to this. Kelsea, how much time do you really spend in the gym every day? Be honest.
Well, all right. Let me just say that I enjoy my time in the gym. So sometimes I could get my sessions done in a shorter period of time, but I don't, because I'm either talking to 𝐓𝐨𝐩𝐬𝐬 or my dad or Val. And like, if we get into some type of discussion in there, it's part of a therapy session. We got to dive into it. And also I spend a fairly significant time at the end stretching. So, okay, how much time am I really there? About 2.5 hours. Sometimes a little bit longer. On Saturdays, it's definitely a little bit longer, because I have a group training session where we're usually doing like a couple workouts. So we, like have some time in between. But usually on a daily, it's about 2.5 hours.
To 3 hours.
To 3 hours.
I just want to be honest.
But I just want to say, like, I don't want to give you guys the impression that I'm working out the entire time during that. It's not like that at all. Like, there's definitely transitions in between work, in between like setting up for, a Metcon. Sometimes my strength sessions take a lot longer than I want them to. There are also times where like I fail lift and try more times than I would ever suggest any of my athletes ever do that, just out of, frustration, or if there's something that I'm working on, things like that, where I'm like, I'm going to demand that my feet move on this clean. So I'm going to do it 5 more times.
Also, I just think that you should be, and as everyone should, unapologetic about their current goals and their current priorities. If you would like to spend 3 hours in the gym every day, you should freaking go after that. If that is what you want to do and that is your priority, then you should be unapologetic, proud of it. And if that is not your priority, you should be unapologetic and proud about whatever is. So that is not, what is necessary to be fit. That is what
No.
Kelsea wants to do for a priority. And she wants to spend that amount of time in the gym and she's happy to do it. So I think that that's really important to say, just like, you know what? Yeah, I spend 3 hours in the gym and what, and what, and what.
Yeah, I just don't never like to give the impression that like it's like, oh, I am working out straight for 3 hours. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely not like that. And in all transparency, recently I've struggled with some like health issue things that have been going on for a couple months, and it's taken me back a bit on my training. So I've had to adjust some things, and it's had to look a little bit different and a little bit more mellow for what my body needs in the moment. Where like some of the heavy lifting, training sessions have had to spread out a little bit more, and the intensity of some of my workouts have had to decrease and also spread out throughout the week a little bit more. So, when you come up with some different health things, you just have to adjust. And that's what I have been doing. So, it's looked a little different for me than I would hope, but, I've adjusted.
It is what it is. Have either one of you ever struggled with endo or PCOS, and how did you continue to make it to the gym? I will say this. We are currently on the lookout for an expert in this area to give you guys a full podcast on this, because I think that it is both relevant and extremely important to have this kind of information when we talk about female specific issues when it comes to fitness, health, the gym, your life. These are things that the whole reason behind this podcast is we feel that they are underutilized in the space. We don't feel like they have enough research behind them. We don't feel like there are enough experts, shouting from the rooftops. We have this with many issues with women's health. So we are currently on the lookout for an expert in this area. I have not personally suffered in these two arenas, but it is so important that we get this information to you guys. If you have someone on this topic that you love, that you follow on Insta, or anybody that you want, if you want to reach out to us with, but we are currently looking to make an entire episode on this for you guys because we know it's important.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things that you can't stress enough, because when you are someone who goes through some of those health issues and then you're like, well, I want more explanation. Like, I want to understand this a little bit more. It's like, it's not readily available, especially it is if you're digging deep enough, but especially for just some weird things that happen around lifting, around training, or, that you are just having from a hormonal imbalance standpoint that might even just change throughout your life. Like some of the things that I've been going with, like I'm being tested for endo right now, and have just had some different things that I've never experienced before, where it's definitely surrounding hormones and being able to balance that with training. And sometimes, and the question was geared towards, still showing up for the gym. It is just that sometimes you really have to adjust your training with what your body is going through. And when it comes to, things like endometriosis and, some different things that are happening with your hormones that can cause a lot of pain, you have to adjust. You might not be able to lift heavy for a little bit. You might not be able to. For me, front loading is been something that I've really struggled with lately, because I can't brace my core properly right now. So any type of front loading, which it looks like front squats, goblet squats, even jerks, anything that I have a significant amount of weight that I'm holding in a front rack position that I'm squatting, is just a no-go for me. So it's learning what some of those things are and being able to adjust around it and figure out how can I still show up for my training session with, a good attitude, which is something that you can struggle with when you see all the can'ts in front of you. I can't do my normal training. I don't know why some of these things are happening to me. I have to get some more answers, and sometimes it just takes a long time, and you're like, but my training session is today. So and so I just want to like sympathize with anyone who is going through that, and you're not alone. I'm one of those people, and it's really important, I think, to focus on some of the things that you can do and be honest with some of the things that you just can't do right now. And sometimes no one's telling you what those are. No one told me that it's specifically front loading when I'm squatting. No one said that. Not a single doctor has been like, yeah, it's really when your front loading is probably causing some inflammation. Like, no, no one said that. But I noticed that I was having some issues after some of those things, or when, the intensity is going a little bit higher. So you kind of have to listen to your body and work with it, and then note some of the things that are not working, and then really go hard on some of the things that are. So does it look like, more mobilization, more stretching? Are you riding the bike more instead of some of the impact things? So like instead of maybe running or jumping, you're doing more of like bike and pulling when you're on the rower, and just working those in more with what can I do to still feel good and not feel so mad at my body, and still get what I'm trying to out of my gym session.
Yeah, when it comes to medical things, some of the best advice that I've ever been told is really that, like, your own treatment is really in your own hands. And it's like so hard because we feel like, well, geez, I have like a job and have some kids and I don't have a degree in medicine. So I feel a little underqualified, but really like you said, like, it's so individualized, and listening to your particular body, that there's not going to be a doctor out there that's going to give you these exact guidelines, even though that would be so awesome and so helpful. It's got to be something that you hold as your responsibility. And it's really, really exhausting sometimes, and hard, especially if you're sick or not feeling well. And
you just want to like feel good. You just want to get a good workout in. Like some of us are just like, I just want to get a good workout in today. If I could just do that, that would be great.
It's really, really hard. But that knowledge and listening to your own self and saying like, I'm paying extra close attention, and I found the following things, and that's how I'm going to, mold my treatment plan is, it's really important. It's tough, but it's really important. I'm sad to say I'm going to have to skip around and probably not do a lot of these questions, but one that I really think is important that we go on is somebody asked our thoughts on the 75 hard.
All right. What's your thoughts on 75 hard?
So I just want to, in case anybody hasn't heard of this is kind of like a fitness challenge, fitness mindset sort of challenge. I don't want to misrepresent it in any way. I don't have the exact thing in front of me, but I do know that it involves getting a workout in every day, being on a diet, meeting certain water requirements. Basically, my understanding of the 75 hard is that it is a mental toughness exercise more than it is anything else. And here's my thoughts on that. I think that is right for certain personality types. I think certain personality types can really thrive on tests of mental fortitude, on overcoming adversities that they maybe create in their life. That there's an adversity of, how am I going to do this for 75 days in a row, and getting through that and looking back on it and saying like, I'm so proud of myself. I completely think that this has value and importance for a certain percentage of the population. What I will say about it is that in a lot of instances, I think that there are so many obstacles already that are real, that we aren't creating through, a challenge or a diet or any certain thing that we're doing for X amount of time. And I want people to place the value on the small things. Because I think that consistency and doing making the choice every day to go ahead and get to a workout rather than go home and binge a show, or get to the grocery store and prepare some really good meals that you're going to feel good about and make your body feel good rather than ordering, takeout. Those are the hard things. In my opinion, those are the things that deserve all the applause and deserve all of the, to me, it's the small things. And I think that people could do better to hit those on a more consistent basis and then pat themselves on the back for that, rather than challenges that have an immense amount of rules and require an immense amount of mental fortitude, and of course have a start and end date. I don't think that those are not valuable, but what I'm saying is I don't think that's the only way to prove something to yourself. I don't think that's the only way to develop mental toughness, and I definitely don't think that that is the way to consistency. But that being said, I love a challenge. I think challenges are great for people. I think the challenge is really every day of your life, and it's happening every day, and you don't need a name for it.
I love how you showed both sides of that coin. I also think as soon as I heard this, and I don't know a lot about 75 hard, so I just want to start with that. But I think that health and fitness is hard enough to include into your life, that I think that when we create this idea around this is the hardest thing, living a healthy lifestyle is hard and you have to just overhaul it for 75 days to be able to come into that club, almost is kind of the opposite of what I want to think. What I think most people include a healthy lifestyle into their life shouldn't be hard. And I know that's not what we want to say, because we want to just go with like the people who are getting results in the gym are working harder than you. Like we want to just like put it all into this, like everything is hard and that the hard is what makes it great. And I get all that, and like I use it in my life and I don't shy away from hard things. So I don't want you to misconstrue that. But I think that including a healthy lifestyle, just a general healthy lifestyle, into your life shouldn't be hard. And I think we should stop painting it in a way that it is really hard, because it isn't. There's a difference between, making this super complicated healthy meal and ordering Chinese food. There's an in-between there where you can get a rotisserie chicken, some frozen vegetables, and a minute rice and have a wonderful meal. And it's not hard, right? And I think that if the more we create this idea that like a healthy lifestyle is hard, the more people we shy away from just including it in their everyday. Just including some veggies, including some movement. And if that's your goal with 75 hard, if that's your goal is to, increase your water intake and include some more nutritious foods and get some type of movement in, doesn't have to be a crazy hard workout, just get some type of movement in every day. I think those are great. If that's how you want to take it and include it into your lifestyle, amazing, do it. All you.
I agree. I mean, again, you have to know what kind of person you are, right?
And what season you're in. There's been seasons where I'm like, I want a challenge. And like, I look for them and go for something that I'm like, I need a challenging thing right now. And you might be in that season of your life. For someone who's listening, you might be in that season and you're looking for, and there are plenty of things out there, but there are plenty of people out there who are like, I'm not looking for more of a challenge right now.
Waking up is challenging enough.
I want to feel good in my body. This is my vessel. I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I want to not be dehydrated. I want to be a bad bitch, not a sad bitch. That's just all I want to do. And I don't want it to be that hard. And I want to say like, you can live a healthy lifestyle without it being hard.
Yeah. I always worry too about, the mental fortitude challenges for certain people, because I don't want it to be yet another thing on your list that you failed, quote unquote. And that is why every challenge that we put forth as a company and as coaches ourselves, is one that doesn't require perfection, because we want to make sure that that isn't the backdrop of everything, because so many people struggle with, a perfectionist kind of mindset, and they do not need another confidence blow of saying, I started this thing and I didn't finish it and I never finish anything and I'm such a piece of shit. And it, you know what I mean? There's that to it as well. And that's why I think you really need to know yourself as a person, because, and like you said, the season that you're in, because there are certain times in your life where you're looking for that, and you're just going to absolutely crush it and gain so much confidence from it. And there's certain times in your life when it's going to really beat you down, and you got to know the difference. And when, you are in those seasons, there's these kinds of resources, these more, kind of more extreme mental fortitude kind of things. And when you're not, there's always the healthy lifestyle to just fall back on, that it isn't perfect, and that it can exist in all different forms. And that if you don't meet your water goal one day, you just wake up the next day and meet it and try again. And that there's no,
your body doesn't know.
You're
just wants more water.
That's where I'm at. So I think that's a totally individualized thing, but that's my thoughts on it. So we did our best to answer every question that you had. We didn't get to all of them. I'm sorry. But let's end with a spicy one. Want to do one more? It's just spicy. It's just a
spicy one.
Have you ever cheated? Be honest.
See, when this question was asked, I think a lot of people went into one aspect, but I went on what? On a test in my workouts? I went into so many different directions that I was like, okay, Kelsey, are you just taking this? But we're all allowed to interpret it in our own way.
Yes, we are.
But I think the idea was in a relationship.
I think so.
Is that's the assumption? Because I was like, on a test? I did cheat one time. I cheated in high school. And listen, it's a whole thing. Want to know about it, guys?
Well,
okay. I was a freshman in high school, and it was a project, and I was like, we could do this project as a group. It was not meant to be done as a group. I had a group that did it together. And we were caught because there was too big of a group with the same project.
Did you get in trouble?
I got in big trouble. Big trouble. I got an F on the project, which was 60% of my math grade, so I failed that class. And it was a whole thing because you know what? It was a spiral of bad events that I really learned from. You guys want to know? It was a spiral of bad events. I ended up failing that class, and then I failed another class, which got me kicked off of an athletic team.
I remember.
And I was supposed to get kicked off, and I was very depressed at the time, clinically depressed. And the athletic director came out I had just started playing tennis, and he came out and said, you're academically not eligible to be here. But what I'm going to do is let you stay, and you're hanging out by the skin of your teeth. If I see any more F's on there, you'll be pulled immediately. Starting tennis saved that.
I will say, I know that athletic director. I worked with him later as a full circle as a coach. And he was my athletic director. And I will say that teachers and
he saved it.
Literally, I do not know the course of your life if you were kicked off your sports teams because for some kids, that is literally the only thing that they're holding on to.
It was, yeah.
And being able to recognize that as the adult in their life and say, I know that this is, I need to make an exception here because this is going to change the trajectory of a kid's life. I know that I've done that as a teacher, that this is why it's so important for educators to see everyone as an individual, because like, Lord,
you're 100% true. What was happening is I didn't play a winter sport. That's when this all went down. Everything was going downhill, and I wasn't even going to play in the spring until I was forced to. And then I started trending up, and then I was going to get kicked out. But he didn't. He let me stay.
Thank you to Mr. Rodericks. I can answer. So, okay. Are you gonna say that's the only thing you cheated? Because people are gonna be like, what she talked about? She totally avoided the other question. Do you want I'm allowing you to add. I'm just saying.
I have never cheated in a relationship. No. I exit quickly before. I do. I'm out. I gotta go.
Jesus. Okay, so that is your answer. I can unequivocally say my boring ass answer that I've never cheated on a test. I've never cheated on a boyfriend, or I've never cheated. What are other things you can cheat on?
In a workout.
I've never cheated in a workout.
I've never intentionally miscounted my reps.
No, I'm not saying that I haven't literally lost my damn mind, had my brain like bleeding out my ears during a workout and maybe miscounted. I'm not saying that, but I've never purposely cheated on anything because I live in a world of, I think this is mom's fault. I live in a world of like extreme guilt. And I literally think that like, I think I would catch on fire for a long time. Like I would just, I don't even know. I highly, highly identify with myself with like my moral standards. And that is one that I'm not saying that it's like it makes you a bad person. What I'm saying is for me in myself, I hold a lot of my self-worth in certain sets of guidelines. That might be right. That might be wrong. But I couldn't do that because that's not where I live. That's not where I live. I'm pretty sure I would implode. So that is your burning questions part 2. We hope you have enjoyed. Maybe you heard some of your questions. Maybe you've got some more. We could surely do 15 more episodes. So if you want to get in touch with us and ask your question, certainly feel free to do that. And we hope this has been helpful and a good insight into our wacky, crazy pieces noodles in which we live. Like up here is just, there's a lot going on for the both of us. So like hopefully that was not too TMI.
We did our best.